Welcome to another episode of your daily database insights from Lucite. Today I'm going to show you the most important thing before you are able to RDP onto a SQL server, or to install a SQL server, or to do anything within a server is you have to spin up a virtual machine. For you to be able to spin up a virtual machine, you are going to need to have either a hypervisor or a virtualization host, and the virtualization host is going to be running a hypervisor software like what I have over here. I have my virtualization host running on Windows, and I am using Hyper-V as my hypervisor. If you don't have this kind of setup, because I have a dedicated uh, HP ProLiant box in my laboratory, and so I'm able to have a separate, dedicated environment to showcase this thing for you. But if you don't have this, I mean, there are several other multiple hypervisors. You can run VMware hypervisor, you can run VirtualBox, you can run a VMware workstation on your PC if your PC is beefy enough and robust and able to run stuff like that. But yeah, so the first thing is you need to have a virtual machine or a physical box, or pretty much a box. That is for the type of installation which we would consider a standalone type installation. This virtual box could be in your private local area network or your private cloud. It could be in the public cloud. It could be on a physical box. Whatever type of deployment, but at least it's going to be a particular box. So on Hyper-V, I'll launch a Hyper-V manager here. I'll right click, and then I'm going to create a new virtual machine, so you can easily see from my screen. I'll go to next. I'm going to call this SQL 2025 virtual machine, and then I want to store this somewhere specific, not on the default directory. So I'll come over here and find some space, and from here I can tell that I can easily place it over here. So I'll just create a folder for it. So SQL SQL 2025 VM. So that's going to be our specific folder for this. Go to next. I'll just leave this as the first generation of virtual machine, so that should not be a problem. So I'll go to next. I'm gonna allocate about, let's say 4 gig for this box, because it's just gonna be really basic, and I can always add that up, and then I'm gonna add this onto my external virtual switch that's already configured on my Hyper-V. Next, and then I will allocate about 200 gig, which I will partition accordingly when this is all said and done. Then I'll go to next, and then I'm going to get my operating system image to run over here. So from here I'm going to run the evaluation edition for Windows Server 2022. This is going to give me about 180 days of running this box. That should be enough for me to do what I want to do with it. So after that, if it stops, I should be okay. And then I'm just going to finish it. After it's finished, you should be able to see it over here. And then I'm just going to add a few settings here. I'll come back over down here to just up the virtual processors that I need. I'll give it maybe 2 virtual procs, and that should be enough, and then I'll just kick it off. So just easy like that. You've already started the process of installing or setting up your virtual machine, and we'll let this run for some time, and then once it is ready, we'll log in and finish the rest of it. All right, so the installation is started. I'll go to next, and then I will just start now. And I may be able to set up a few things like drives in a moment here. We are going to be choosing the data center desktop experience. We'll go to next. Or actually, we could have actually been able to choose the standard edition data experience. This should be sufficient enough for whatever we're trying to do. So the desktop experience really just means that it's going to have the graphical user interface, which is definitely what you want. Then I'm going to say yes, click next, and this is going to be a custom install. So at this point, if I want, I can actually allocate some spaces here. So here I will allocate about 50 gig for my C drive, and then I will allocate maybe another 100 gig for my data drive, and then lastly I'm just going to allocate this for my log directory. So I'm going to install the operating system on this directory. This is going to serve as my C drive. Then I'll click next. So at this point, the VM is pretty much being installed and getting ready. And as soon as it is, we'll log in and we'll explore it. The installation is now getting ready. And now you're going to be needed to set up the administrator password. I'm going to choose the most sophisticated password always. Okay, finish. And this is the moment of truth. Let's see if that password even logs in. Does. So first things first, you have a box. The server team at this point, they need to bring your box into the domain, and also they need to do their onboarding activities for this particular box before you can actually access it on the network. There could be several things that may need to be done, like they may need to onboard it on Commvault, they may need to onboard it on either Commvault or Rubrik or whatever it is that you're using as your VM, of your backup solutions. They may need to onboard it on several security applications, like for instance, if you're doing transparent data encryption or encryption at rest, then they may need to open ports so that they can access either third-party tools like SafeNet or something else. But yeah, so we have built the box, and if we look at the drives here, you can see And the other thing is I'm actually gonna try to onboard this to the domain. First, I want to check which IP it picked. So it picked that one. So I'm gonna make that IP static on the box. And these are all local IPs. So nothing outside the network. And then I will use my preferred DNS. Once that is done, come back to the server manager on the local server. I'll change the name of the box, which I need to call it SQL 2025 VM, and I am going to attempt to join the domain. All right, let's see if we can join it. And looks like it is trying to do something. Wait for it. It failed. Let me find out why. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to join it again. Alright, I'll figure out that domain later. The most important thing is I've changed the box name, and for that name to take effect, we need to bounce the box. Before I bounce it, I just want to make sure I'm going to disable this local firewall configuration. That's going to be off because they are always not needed here. I'll turn that off as well. And I'll turn this off as well. Alright, and we're going to bounce the box. Then we'll figure out that domain. So the box has been restarted. Let's go back in. And of course, before you are able to RDP onto this box, you have to enable the RDP configuration, which is very straightforward. this time we are in the domain. So now this is been added to the domain, and that concludes the process of at least having your VM ready for the next daily um, SQL Server Insights or database insights. If you know anybody who needs help with setting up a VM on Hyper-V, please show them this video. And if they still don't get it, ask them to contact me because I'm going to be able to show them or point them into the right direction. Thank you again. Have a good day.